Good Wednesday morning, class. We're going to start 5.2 today, but we are going to review a little bit of what we did yesterday. I'm going to put this whiteboard here, and we're going to talk about perpendicular bisector. What does perpendicular bisector go with? It goes with the circumcenter. And what about angle bisector? Angle bisector goes with the incenter. Those are the two that we talked about yesterday. We're going to add two more today, and that will be the four that you will need to know for your test. It's very important. So when we look at our notes that Allie has already went over with you, I wanted you to pay close attention. If you will look at the very top of the page, you will see that the medians of a triangle intersect at a point called the centroid. That is 2/3 of the distance from the vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. 2/3, meaning that when we have this length right here, these sides are split into equal segments. And when you draw that part, when you split that into equal segments, this point right here is your centroid. This part from the side to the centroid is 1/3 of the segment, and from the centroid to where it stops and intersects is 2/3. It does not always end up in the center of the vertex. It doesn't stop in a specific place. It all depends on the triangle. So you always have to be cautious of that. So the biggest thing is to remember from the centroid to the side is 1/3, and that means from P to K, and then from P to A is 2/3. So let's try this out on example 1. And also, sorry for the bouncing. It's just a little hard to hold this and write and do everything else. So in example 1, it says in triangle XYZ, P is the centroid and YV is 12. Find YP and PV. Well, YP, if we look at this whole entire segment right here is 12. How can we bust up 12 into thirds? We'll divide it by 3, which is 4. So 1/3 of it would be 4. That's from P to V would be 4. And then P to Y would be 8. Because 2 4s are 8. So that would be the answers to this. And again, she should have already went over this with you. I just want to make sure that I am reviewing it before you have a test. Okay? So let's add that one to our list. Medians is the centroid. Then we have the very last one. That is the lines containing the altitudes of a triangle are concurrent, intersecting at a point called the orthocenter. There's your last one. Altitude, Altitude is the orthocenter. Memorize those 4 things. That's very, very important. They are on your paper. Okay, so let's talk about the rest of this. The lines containing the altitudes of a triangle are concurrent, intersecting at a point called the orthocenter. So if you look at this is just showing you altitudes. What is altitude? It's basically the height of the triangle. So it's going to be perpendicular. So you're going to probably deal with Pythagorean theorem and different things to that effect when you're dealing with these type of problems. Again, you will see what I just wrote on that board, on the whiteboard, all 4 of these right here. Those are very important. So let's look at 5.3 because I know she went over this. This is probably the easiest thing in the world to learn. Inequalities in one triangle. This is basically telling you that if you have an exterior angle, it's bigger than the two remote interior angles. That means that this angle outside here is bigger than these two. Well, we should know that from what we taught in the last lesson. When you add the two interior angles, they are equal to the outside. So that should make sense to you. So let's talk about angle side inequalities. If we look at this, the largest angle is always across from the largest side. You will see this in this picture. And then the smallest angle is always across from the smallest side. Because if you think about that, if I take my hands, the bigger my hands expand, the longer that segment would be to connect those two pieces from thumb to my middle finger. That would be. The closer I get, the smaller that segment gets. So that should make sense to you. So you should have already done this. It says on example 1, list the angles of triangle ABC in order from smallest to largest. Well, let's go over this. I'm not going to write it, but we're going to go over it. The smallest side is 11.1, so the smallest angle is angle C. Please do not forget your little angle signs. The next would be side would be 14.3, so that means angle A would be the next. I will go ahead and write this so you can make sure that you see it. Sorry, it's getting dark. That's why I didn't want to. So what does that leave for the last one? Of course, angle B. Another way that you can look at this, and I tell students this is the easiest way to do it. Put your fingers on the two sides that are the smallest. That would be AB. What letter does, let's try this with the other hand so you can see this. What letter does that leave you with? C. That's the smallest. Then put your fingers on the next one. What letter does that leave you with? A. That's the middle one. And so on. Okay? On example 2, list the sides of the triangle ABC in order from shortest to longest. Same thing. What's the biggest, the smallest angle? Angle C. So if I cover it, what two segment pieces do I have left? That is AB. So we're going to write segment AB. And put a line over it because it is a segment. Then what would be the next one? Put your finger over B. That's the next one in line. That is AC. So AC is next. And then the last one would be what? CB. Always pay attention to the directions because sometimes it'll say longest to shortest and not shortest to longest. So pay attention to those. We will start here on my next video and we will finish out this lesson. I will assign you some homework from there. See you guys later.